you. Well, I think a lot of my questions have been asked in fairness, and I too, Dr. Tobin, would be a firm belief that the legislation really needs to go through this time. I think there has been such uncertainty over the last few years, and I think now we need, for the children and the families, we need to give them stability, we need to give them that certainty. And I even felt when I spoke to Professor Susan Gollenbuck, I hope I have the name right too, I just felt that the research on the parenting and the child adjustment in surrogacy families was so positive, and we have had families in here, and it's just, you know, they're heartbreaking stories really, and the families are so, the parents are so dedicated to the children that I think we now have to move on this. So, and I think it is important that we get a balance here, that it is, but I firmly believe this legislation has to go through this time. And just to, Professor Madden, just I suppose two things, and again I want to welcome, I thought your statement was excellent too, and just ask you, in your own opinion, you feel the best way forward for Ireland is firstly to make sure we have modern evidence-based surrogacy legislation domestically so that fewer people can go abroad for surrogacy, and maybe you might explain more on that to me. And another part of your statement was, which I felt too was very important, that we need to consider how best to protect all those involved to the greatest degree possible, while recognising that we cannot regulate what happens in other countries. And that was just part of your statements. And again, look, you know, this is so important, and you know, we all, you know, have seen, we just all have been very touched by all the witnesses we've had over the last few weeks. And again, it is important that this legislation would go through, I think, as soon as possible. So thank you. Maybe if Professor, if you'd like to come back in, maybe with just them two things I picked up on. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, and I'll be brief. I know we're up against the clock. So I suppose my conclusion is that we can't ignore and should not ignore the reality of international surrogacy. We can't require the laws in other countries where surrogacy takes place to be the same as ours. Yeah. We have to prioritise the rights and the welfare of children, the surrogate, but also the intended parents, because I think sometimes their interests and their potential vulnerabilities are not prioritised in the same way. We talk a lot about protection of the surrogates, but we also, you know, have to have in mind the well-being of the intended parents. Yes. Who have struggled for years to have a family and have prepared in every way possible to become parents, and their interests also deserve protection. So I think, the best solution in my mind is to try to make sure that the domestic system that we have here encourages people to stay here. Okay. And have their surrogacy arrangement done here. But at the same time, we have to recognise that won't apply to everybody. Some parents may want the surrogate to be someone of the same ethnicity as them, for example. Yeah. They may wish the child to be born in their country of origin. Or, of course, they could have a family member or a friend living abroad who's willing to be a surrogate for them. So just because it takes place internationally does not necessarily mean it's commercial in the sense that we've been talking about here. So I think, you know, the mechanism by which we do something could be, you know, a pre-approval process by the regulator on the basis of maybe an approved list of countries where the regulator has done due diligence, satisfied that the legal protections are as close as they are in Ireland. And then once all the legal criteria are satisfied in the country where the child is born, and of course that may require a judicial process in that country, and the parents return to Ireland with the child, then recognition of parentage could be given by a court order. So I'm not sure if that answers your,
no, it does,
question.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll now